brightness of this video. It's sort of at a different arrangement for where I've got it set up, and I don't have it on my usual tripod because I can't find where the thing went. So I've got it on this clippy thing that's sort of dangling over my table. I usually set it on. And I realized that I have the camera flipped around to where the camera side of my iPod is on the opposite side from where I usually look. I'm used to it being on this side, so my eyes naturally gravitate towards this way, but I'm trying to make myself look over here where the little dot is to try and look right into the camera. So if my eyes keep wandering off this way, my apologies. I'm trying to work with it because I don't feel like having to reclip it and change the whole thing when I finally got the angle close to right anyway. So if it's wiggly, it's because it's literally dangling. Like right now, yeah, I just wiggled it, but anyway. So this is finally, after a long hiatus, another episode of High School for Newbies. This one is on picture day, which is often a thing that freaks a lot of people out, but shouldn't. There's a lot of ways to screw it up, but there's a lot of ways to ensure that you don't. So, anyway, on the plus side, unless you've been like homeschooled your whole life and never had professional pictures taken to supplement in place of school pictures, you've already done this probably about 1,000,000 times before, so it's not going to be very different this year, but this time you're going to be armed with tips to make sure that you have as good of an experience as possible, and hopefully as good of an outcome with your pictures as possible. I'm kind of the queen of having had bad pictures and have since learned ways to make them not suck like mine did, but yeah, since it's already too late for me, I already finished my schooling, doesn't benefit me now, but I feel like I should relay these tips on to you guys so you can at least make use of them. So anyway, the biggest key element you're gonna need here is just preparation. Don't throw on any clothes the day of your pictures. Plan them out ahead of time. If you just pick them at the last minute, it's gonna be a recipe for failure since you're gonna be rushed and you're not gonna coordinate it as well, and just plan it in advance. Preferably as in advance as possible. This also isn't the time to test out new hairstyles or makeup techniques. You're gonna want to look like you in these photos. If you want to experiment for photos, save that for like Facebook and Instagram, not for your school photos, because I can almost guarantee you'll regret it if you choose this time to start experimenting. I learned this the hard way on both fronts. I could tell you horror stories about how badly mine went. I feel like I should have a stack of every school photo I've ever taken because all of them were equally as shit-tastic. So, there's that. So, first things first, I would say you're gonna want to start preparing ultimately like 2 weeks ahead of time. This is gonna be for your hair. Stick with tried and true haircuts that you're used to, that you know work on you, you know don't look bad. Don't cut it closer than 2 weeks ahead of time, or color it for that matter. Hold on. I hear my dog at the door. Let me let her in. Sorry about that, but we have got a puppy friend with us. Yay, puppy friend. Hey, Tolly. Hey, Talia. Look at the camera. No? Okay. She doesn't want me on camera. She's shy. That's alright. Anyway, so, like I was saying, don't cut your hair closer than 2 weeks before your pictures. 2 weeks is good because, it gives it a little time to grow out a teeny bit and to soften the edges so there's no blunt edges. For bangs, they grow faster. I would say don't cut them closer than 10 days before the picture day. 10 is safe. But I say 2 weeks because if you screw it up and have like a botched haircut or color job, this gives you time to get it fixed before the day and make sure it didn't end up worse. So with that in mind, just saying, give yourself time ahead of time before it's like last minute. So there will be no unfortunate incidents with haircut cutting or coloring this way. It's very much worth it. Next step in preparation, I would say about a week before the pictures. You're going to want your skin to be as clear and blemish-free as you can get for the pictures, so I would say if you're not doing it already, start washing your face every night before bed. Make sure you don't go to bed with makeup on or any of the other bad habits that so many of us are guilty of doing. But at least a week beforehand, if not more. Again, if you're not already doing it, which you probably are, but regardless, sorry, Tali, scooting around here, but if you're not already doing it, start doing it, and if you've got any foolproof methods that you use for keeping your skin clear, definitely start doing those at least a week beforehand. It'll just help because it gives less things that need to be edited out of your photos later by the photographers, if they even offer that. Otherwise, you're stuck with all sorts of outbreaks in your pictures. Nobody likes those. So, there's that. Next thing you're going to want to do is figure out the sort of backgrounds that your school uses and plan accordingly. Most schools, especially high schools, I mean, when you're younger it's different, but high schools especially generally stick with plain backgrounds, and it's standard. Some of them just have like the typical blue and gray. Other ones, most high schools have different color options like red, green, yellow, purple, stuff like that. Some of them have actual backgrounds, and some of them take the pictures outside. You're going to want to find out which of these is what you're going to be using, because if it's outside, not only are you going to need to coordinate your outfit with that, but you're also going to need to take into account things like if you wear glasses, do you have ones that are light sensitive that change in the light? Because if you do, they're going to make you take those off. So account for that when planning your picture. They won't let you wear your glasses if it's taken outside. Same thing with if they're not anti-glare. Because they're outside, you're going to get the reflection of all the trees and the sunlight and all sorts of stuff going on here. They're going to make you take them off. So a lot of people freak out at that because they don't think of it ahead of time, and they're like, oh my god, my face looks weird, oh I hate my photos now. Just plan for it ahead of time as a just in case they do make you take them off. But if you're not outside, usually that's not an issue, unless if they're using flash photography. A lot of times they work around it anyway, but with flash photography, they sometimes make you take them off if they're not anti-glare, so just something to keep in mind. But then you're also going to want to take into account the color of your background if it is an indoor photo, because this is going to help you coordinate the outfit that you wear so you don't like blend into your background color, that it's not going to be a color that looks terrible with your skin tone that you end up picking. You're not going to want to wear something that clashes with the background either or makes you look horrible. You want a color that's going to flatter you. You're also going to want to wear colors that flatter you. It's a delicate thing. There is some trial and error to it, I will admit, but a good way of trying this out is find out about what shade it is that they use. And if you've got access to anything like Photoshop, you can just take pictures on your phone in the outfit you'd like to test this out with, and just Photoshop the background into approximately the color of the background that they're going to use for your pictures. If it looks okay, go for it. If not, I would adjust the color of your outfit that you're picking out. It's not that hard. It really isn't. Don't be freaked out by it. Just saying. You also want to find out if these are headshots, which most school photos are, or if they're full body shots. If they're full body shots, there's also more to take into account, both with outfit, because you need not just your shirt to be good for this. You need your whole outfit to coordinate, both with the background and with itself, and with you. And you have to take into account your shoes. They'll be showing if you're in a full body shot. The shoes can make or break your photo. So, no pressure, but keep that in mind. Also with the full body shots, especially with high school, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll let you pose with things that matter to you at this point in your life. It's an additional thing to help you like capture this point in your life, what you're interested in, basically tell more about yourself in the photo without words. If it's one of those, again, you're going to want to plan this carefully so that you don't end up looking ridiculous when you look back at it years later. So, still be yourself, but I would pay attention to what you're picking out here. So, just a thought. It's just a thought. Another big thing that a lot of people don't think about when it comes to school photos, and to be honest, I never thought about this part when I was taking them. This is why I'm telling you guys about it, is taking into account who these photos are being taken for. Hate to break it to you, but these photos aren't really all about you. The pictures of you, obviously, and it's capturing you at this point in time, but generally they're not for you. Are you buying the pictures for yourself? No, generally not. They're usually for your grandparents, your aunts, your uncles, your parents. Don't make the photo something they're gonna hate. Don't make it something you're going to be embarrassed of seeing every time you go over to their houses. Or that you're going to be embarrassed every time they bring it out to show their friends this photo of their granddaughter or niece or blah blah blah. You know what I mean. This is a thing that I totally did not get, and year after year I would be horrified the second I would see the photo go up in their houses, and I'd be like, no, take it down, I'm begging you, I hate it, take it down, it's such a bad picture. Yeah. I would take ones that seemed like a good idea on the day, and then pretty much instantly afterwards had regrets. Yeah. So, take into account that if it's primarily for, like, your grandma, make it something she's gonna approve of. If it's something for your parents, make sure it's something they're gonna approve of, especially since they're generally the ones paying for your photos anyway. I don't care if you're an angsty teen who hates your parents, they're still the ones paying for the photos. You do owe them that much. You can give them this one day out of the year to dress in something that they approve of. Just saying. I know, it sucks, but ultimately, this is the reality here. I'm telling you how it is, just so you know, with some perspective from the other side of adulthood now, looking back at it. Yeah. Anyway, not only that, but when you look back on the photos, like, 10 years later, you won't cringe so hard if you're wearing something that looks timeless and classic versus something that was trendy at the moment, but now is really embarrassing to look at. You don't want to be that person. Trust me, you don't want to be that person. You don't want to wear something that was just for the sake of getting attention in the yearbook. You don't want to be that person either. I know you think you do. You don't. Just take it from me, you don't. You will regret it. It will have been a waste. Now, when it comes to picking the outfit, I would say give yourself a few days in advance. You don't need to stress over it that hard, but a few days in advance gives you time to make sure the outfit's clean, you know where it is, it's ironed, the basic shit, you know. Make sure that your dog doesn't sleep on it and get fur all over it, or in my case, back then it was cats, but you know what I mean. But yeah, it gives you time to figure out, like, the colors that you're gonna use, make sure they're flattering on you, that it looks good on you, that it fits, that your parents approve of it. Like, for real, ask around and ask, does this look good on me? Like, try it on and actually ask. As silly as that sounds, you'll be thanking yourself later that you actually took the, like, extra 5 minutes to do this step. Because if it doesn't, you still have time to go back to the closet and pick something else out. If you wait till the day of, and you just wear whatever you think looks okay, but then find out later when you see the photo doesn't, it's too late. You can't retake it. So, most schools won't let you retake it just because you don't like it. There has to be a pretty legit reason to retake it, so yeah, that. So not only do you want to make sure that the color looks good on you, you want to make sure that the shape is flattering on you. You have to not only take into account your skin tone, but your hair color and your eye color, as well as the color and or pattern of the background. There's a lot of factors to consider here. So there's all of that. It sounds more complicated than it is. It's just a matter of basic color theory. You can figure this out. Also, don't pick things with logos on them, or with characters on them, or busy patterns. Things with logos, a lot of times with school photos, they do a mirror effect where they flip the image, and now you're going to have backwards writing and it's going to look stupid. Not only that, it's also going to date your picture and make it look really stupid in like 10 or 20 years. Same thing with characters. You're going to be like, oh god, I remember when I liked that. Don't anymore, but I did that. Yeah, it's an embarrassment thing. You can spare yourself embarrassment here. As for the busy patterns, that one's not so much embarrassment as it takes the attention away from your face. The attention shouldn't be all on your clothes, it should be on your face because the picture is of you. You want the picture to be of you. Even if you have no self-esteem and think nobody wants to look at you, the pictures are obviously being taken for somebody. Someone wants to look at you. So, I'm also the queen of no self-esteem, so I understand. Trust me. I get it if anybody does, but yeah, that. So, busy patterns draw your eye to the clothing instead of your face, which may seem like a good idea at the time, but then when you look at the finished product of the photo, you'll be like, oh god, why did I think that was a good idea? Yeah, it just ends up not being that great. If it's just a little bit of a busy pattern, you can sometimes get away with it. It mostly depends on what the pattern is. Is it a repetitive pattern? Is it an abstract swirly thing all over the place? It depends what it is. But if, in general, you can look at yourself in the mirror and your eyes go to the clothes rather than your face immediately, the same thing's going to happen in the photo, so I would not wear that. I would stick with basic things, solid colors, things like that. If you want something that still has visual appeal while still being a solid color, look for textured fabrics or things like cardigans or like cable knit things that it's built in and it's textured, but at the same time it adds visual interest without being completely distracting. You know what I'm saying? Kinda, sorta, maybe. Yeah. It doesn't detract it away from your face, but at the same time still looks good. So there's that. What else did I want to go with this? Okay. I remember now. I really do these in like one take generally, so I'm not gonna edit this, but anyway. Most important rule when picking out an outfit for your pictures that you can be proud of in a photo for years to come, as weird as this is gonna sound, you're not gonna want to show a lot of skin in this. Not because of modesty reasons, but because of the composition of a headshot, and any photographer will generally agree with this. There's going to be too much skin to photo ratio if you're wearing something that's sleeveless like a tube top or spaghetti straps or something like that, or a plunging neckline. You really want to steer clear of those, at least this one day of the year for these photos. If you want to take pictures like that all over social media, be my guest. It's not a modesty thing, it's a what looks better in a headshot thing. When you have more fabric there, it also drives more attention to your face. Again, like I was talking about in the previous point, but when there's too much skin, it's just background and skin color, and it's not that great of a looking photo. You probably assume going in that you think you look sexy in it, but no, it ends up being a really blah looking photo ultimately, because it's just too much skin. It's not interesting to look at. And when you look at it a few years later, you'll be like, oh yeah, this wasn't that great of a photo. That's why, because it takes away too much of the visual interest, which again, it seems counterintuitive given that we live in a society where sex sells, but basic rules of photography still stand here, and with a headshot, that's not what you want to go for here. You're not taking glamour shots, you're taking headshots. Different rules apply for different types of photography. So, with that in mind, you're going to want to stay away from anything like spaghetti straps, anything strapless, anything with like the low necklines that like go across the shoulders, that it's just all skin right here, because a lot of photos will cut off about right here, so all you're going to see is skin. More or less. You'll see a little edge of fabric, but that's not going to help you much here, and it's going to detract from the quality of the photo for it. When you have more fabric involved here in this area, it gives more color instead of just skin tone in background. So, like I said, this is something to keep in mind here. And like I said, you can also ask just about any professional photographer. They will tell you that yes, this is one of the most basic cornerstone concepts and tips that they offer people when it comes to headshots. Because yeah, it really detracts away from it and it looks bad when you take them that way for a headshot. For different types of photography, it's a great thing, but for headshots, not so much. Don't do it here. Anyway, short sleeves are okay because it still breaks up the skin to fabric ratio here. So if you want to go with like short sleeves, that's cool, that's fine, but don't go with something strapless or sleeveless or low cut. Just saying. Anyway, next point, layering. Layering can make or break your photo because of how you do it. If you do it right, it can be a great thing that adds visual interest to the picture, but if you do it wrong, it can not only clash, but it also is another thing that, like with busy patterns, it takes the attention away from your face and defeats the purpose of the photo. So you're going to want to be really careful about this. And this is another thing where you can test this with your phone, take a picture in the outfit, crop it to approximately the area that's involved in a headshot, and then just see how it looks, get a general idea for it. See if it looks distracting, see if it just looks like it doesn't really go together after all for a photo of that angle, because what would look fine necessarily in like a full body shot or even a waist up shot or something, sometimes will look like crap in a headshot. So it just depends on the outfit, it depends on the items you're layering, the colors, the textures, the patterns, it all factors in. So just something to keep in mind and something to experiment with beforehand. So there's that. What else? You're going to want to wear clothes that are physically comfortable to wear, because if you're not comfortable, if they're too tight, if they're itchy, if just whatever's wrong with it isn't physically comfortable to wear, it's going to show through in your face in the photo because it's going to look like you're doing a really fake smile. And people can tell when you're doing really fake smiles and it doesn't look good. So wear things that you physically wear or feel comfortable wearing, both comfort-wise physically and self-confidence-wise as well. Don't wear something that you're literally embarrassed to wear because that's also going to show through in your facial expression. And on the topic of clothes, make sure they're clean and ironed. I know I said it before, I'm gonna say it again. Seems like a no-brainer, but with things like stains or wrinkles on them, sometimes you don't notice it until the day of, and then you're like, shit, now I don't have enough time to take care of it, and you wear it anyway, or worse, you throw it back in the closet and pick something else last second that you didn't plan out very well, and now that ends up looking bad because you didn't coordinate it. Yeah, you can see where this is a big issue. One quick tip I can throw out there, if you don't know how to iron or you don't want to take the time to properly iron, if you've got a steamer, use it. They're not that hard to use, and they work like a dream if you've got one. Just saying, experiment beforehand to make sure you know what you're doing so you don't accidentally soak your fabric or burn your fabric or anything. But they're really not hard to use. I use them all the time, they're great. But, in a pinch, for things where you really do need some type of an iron, but you don't have time to really do this, if you've got a flat iron like you use on your hair, not an InStyler because that thing spins, but like an actual flat iron, you can use that in a pinch on clothes on small areas, like on collars or the little spaces between buttons. You just have to be really careful not to leave it there too long because it can burn or singe your fabric, which you don't want, obviously. And in certain types of fabric, it can melt your fabric. So look at what type of fabric this is on the tag. If it says do not iron, then obviously don't go there because it will melt or catch fire or have a burn mark. Don't do it. But if it actually has ironing instructions, you can usually get away with this, but make sure that the iron is clean first, because if it's got hair product on it, it's almost guaranteed that it's going to not only burn your clothes, but it's going to burn an imprint of the shit that's on your iron onto the clothes, if not putting the stuff itself into the fabric and literally burning it there. Ask me how I know. But yeah, it's a real thing that can happen. I speak from experience, unfortunately. So, there's that. Now, in the days leading up to picture day, there's like no really given set number of days for this, just however much time you think you'll need. Practice what you're gonna do with your hair and makeup. Practice it ahead of time, do a test run, do the hair, do the makeup, put on the outfit, and then ask around and see how it looks. If it looks good, cool, you know what you're gonna do. If it doesn't, start making adjustments until it does look good. I mean, like I said, this gives you enough time for trial and error to find out what works, and also to perfect whatever you're gonna do. With your hair, the more low maintenance for picture days, the better, because if it's something that is gonna get messed up the first time you walk outside, if there's like a sudden gust of wind, obviously that's not gonna work real great because it's almost impossible to avoid, unless you live in an area with no wind, which I can't imagine many people do. So, there's that, or humidity, or anything else. You're going to want to go with something where you're not going to be fighting your hair all day leading up to the picture. You want a style that's basically going to be low to no maintenance, to where you can do it, you can set it with whatever product of your choice, be it hairspray, be it mousse, be it gel, be it whatever, and have it be good to go. Just like have a brush and a mirror on hand, just in case you need to touch it up, but hoping for the best that it should be fine on its own without needing to worry about it. Don't go overboard with the products to set it though, because you don't want the look of shellac helmet head. Again, ask me how I know. Yeah, it's not a pretty look when you overdo it with gel or with mousse, and it sounds like if somebody taps your hair that you could hit it with a hammer and it would hold solid. It's really gross. You want there to still be some movement to your hair, just not enough to where it's going to get screwed up. With makeup for these photos, a lot of times less is more. Like, you don't want to look like you're going out for a night on the town or something. With your school photos, you don't need to go without, but I would suggest going for like a more natural look and sticking to like, not necessarily nude tones, but like earthy tones, preferably. Like, you don't want to use this as your experiment for like neon eyeshadow or something, because sure, it's going to show up, but you're going to look back on that photo and go, oh my god, what was I thinking? Same thing for just about any type of makeup for that matter. I speak from experience on just about each different type of makeup you can imagine. I don't know why I thought bright purple glittery eyeliner would be good one year, but this was actually a thing. And that was the lesser of the evils in things I tried during high school and middle school and school photos. Yeah, so anyway, just saying, the closer to you look in these photos, the better. So I mean, stick with like a makeup look that you generally wear every day to school, instead of like really going over the top and overboard. You can add like a little bit extra, but don't go crazy with it, because you need it to look like you. Otherwise, what's the point of even taking the picture? If you want to be fancy and just take pictures for the sake of experimenting, this is what social media is for. This is what Instagram is for. This is what so many of them are for. So, just saying. What else? Also, along the same lines though, with picking the more autumnal colors, you have this to your benefit that most school pictures are taken in the fall. So it's going to seem really natural because a lot of people are also wearing those colors and styles and everything, and it's going to look very much at place here and at home. And it's going to look sophisticated that way because it doesn't look out of place. When it looks out of place, you can tell, you can just instinctively tell. And you don't want that part to happen. So stick with, just like I said, with either autumnal or earthy colors, or with whatever you normally wear on a typical day. So, anywho, also, with your makeup, because makeup is a huge make or break factor with school photos, you're gonna want to steer clear of sparkly. I don't care if you can normally pull off wearing shimmery stuff or glittery stuff. this isn't the place to do it, because with flash photography, a lot of time there can be glare at worst, or at best, it's still going to be distracting from your face, and you're still going to look back on it in so and so many years and just be embarrassed. Which, again, you don't want. So, stay away from sparkly. Even when it comes to, like, your lip products, you're not going to wear, or want to wear. You can do it if you really want to, but I wouldn't advise it. But you're going to want to steer clear of super glossy or super shiny products here. Because, again, detracts from the rest of your face. It puts all the attention right here, which I don't think you want. And just in general, there will be glare from the flash, and it's not gonna look that great. This is one place where, even as much as I love shiny lip products, this is one place where I actually do think is a better idea to wear matte products, or semi-matte even, but don't go with shiny. Even with your skin, you're going to probably want to wear, a matte powder on your face so you don't have shiny spots or anything, especially because with a photo where you can't tell the natural light distribution as you move around, shininess can be mistaken for greasiness, and you don't want people to be mistaking that. So a matte powder is a great thing, but again, if it's not something you normally wear, you may want to practice with it first so you don't end up with a really weirdly over-powdered or uneven face or anything. So you don't have to, but it's just a thought. Find out if your school photographer offers photo retouching or not, and how much it costs, because again, your parents are paying for it. And a lot of parents aren't willing to spend the extra money on something like that. But for the ones who are, and for the photographers who do, you're going to want to call the studio beforehand, and you're going to want to ask, is it easier for them, and this varies from studio to studio, is it easier for them if you cover up your blemishes and then they retouch the rest of the way? Or is it easier for you to leave it natural? I honestly don't remember if I just said that right or not, so I'm going to re-say that. Sorry. Is it easier to put something on it and then be touched up later, or to leave it uncovered? Because some photographers actually really do prefer you to just leave all blemishes as is, and they'll do the rest to get them gone from the photos. But other ones prefer you to put concealer or whatnot over them, and then they just do the rest from there. But other ones hate when people do that because it makes their job harder if the person left it looking cakey or uneven, and then they have a harder time matching it with the surrounding skin tone. So you really want to call ahead and ask what's best with their company. Because what's best for one isn't necessarily best for another. You can't just assume here. You really do need to find out ahead of time, because you want the best results possible, especially when the extra service usually doesn't come cheap. So there's that. Sorry. Anyway, if you're a person who naturally feels awkward smiling for photos and never feels like it ends out coming quite right, this tip's for you. I am also one of those people myself, so again, I get it. I live it with every photo. But as silly as this suggestion is going to sound, practice smiling in a mirror for a few days beforehand leading up to picture day. And try different styles of smiling too, not just one way. Don't try it just with teeth showing, or one without. You want to try both. You're going to want to try different expressions. You're going to want to try practicing making sure you smile with your eyes, because it looks really fake if this is smiley here, but the eyes are saying something else. Especially since the eyes are the window to the soul, people can really pick up on fake smiles if the eyes aren't smiling too. So that's really important. Oops, sorry puppy. Sorry about that. But anyway, at the same time, while you're practicing smiling with your eyes, you don't want them to be totally squinty or anything either. So this is where the practice part comes in, and you're going to want to do it enough to where it comes naturally to you by the day up. And a pretty good indicator of whether or not you're doing a natural looking smile is, do your cheeks hurt while you're holding the pose? If they hurt, it's a fake smile. If they don't really feel any strain, chances are it's more of a natural smile. So, there's that. It is a good thing to keep in mind. Trying to think of what else. This one's pretty basic too, but make sure you get enough sleep the night before, because if you don't, it's just going to be that much more makeup you have to wear to cover up under-eye circles, which I today very much, obviously, did not heed the warning on, but again, it's not picture day for me, but didn't know I was going to be using this angle either. That makes mine look terrible, but anyway. Woo! Again, sorry. Banged into a thing next to the dog and scared the shit out of her. I'm sorry, puppy. Anyway, yeah, this is not the night to have a sleepover the night before, or to pull an all-nighter. You don't want to do that. If anything, you're going to want to go to bed a little bit early so you can get up a little bit early and have enough time to get ready in the morning. And when you're getting ready, you're going to want to take into account that, again, with the mirrored photography thing, if you naturally, like, part your hair to one side, you might want to try it from the opposite. But again, this isn't the day to necessarily experiment with that. This is something you want to do as you're practicing your hair in the days leading up for it. But you may want to try and do the mirror image thing yourself so it comes out looking like it's parted on the correct side. Again, this is one of those things where you can generally tell from prior years' photos if this service is one that does that or not. Some photography companies do that, some don't. It just really depends. And if they are one that does that, you're going to want to take that into account with whatever you're doing with your hair. This is one that I always forgot about and always fucked myself over on. So, also, you're going to want to wear like antiperspirant if you don't already on that day, so you can make sure that there's no sweat stains visible on your shirt if you're a person who sweats a lot or even just gets really nervous leading up to pictures. You're gonna obviously want to make sure that you brush your teeth after you eat, not before. I know a lot of people do it before and then forget to do it again after. Then they have food in their teeth and it's gross, so make sure you do it after and floss to make sure there is no food stuck between your teeth. That could show up in the pictures. It's not a good look. That's luckily one that never happened to me, but I know plenty of people it has happened to, so yeah. Also, don't skip breakfast the day of, because if you get all pale and fainty before the pictures, you're just gonna look really pale and sickly in your photos. Again, ask me how I know. Every single year I made that mistake, but not a good look. But, yeah, make sure you eat something and you don't get all hypoglycemic on picture day. Also, with your makeup the day of, use a setting spray, even if you don't generally use one. This is a good day to use one so you don't have to worry about continually retouching your makeup all day or anything. You may want to still keep your makeup on hand just in case somehow it still fades or gets a little messed up and you can fix it right before the pictures are taken. But yeah, setting spray is a godsend. I'm not even sure if it existed when I went to school. If it had, my life would have been a lot easier, but yeah. The most important tip of all, as basic as it sounds, that I can give you is to try and not stress too hard over picture day. Even with this long laundry list of tips and advice, it's still generally not that big of a thing to stress over, even if you are a person who's naturally anxious and has, like, zero self-esteem like myself. It's not really that big of a deal to worry about. I mean, it is just a picture ultimately, but if you employ the right tips, it does put the odds in your favor of it turning out better than worse. So, like I said, just things to keep in mind. Take them or leave them for whatever it's worth. Just I'd throw them out there. So anyway, as usual, if you like this video, click the like button. If you're not already and you'd like to be, click subscribe. Leave comments down below. Until next time.